just a digital coin or an investment asset. It's a solution, a survival tool, a bridge, and in some cases, a lifeline. Consider the case of international workers who migrate from countries like the Philippines, Nigeria, or India to send money home. In the traditional system, they face fees of 7 to 15%, delayed transfers, and bureaucratic hurdles, all for the simple act of helping their family. For them, Litecoin changes everything. It's fast, global, and practically free to use. One such worker living in Dubai began using Litecoin to send money to his mother in Manila every 2 weeks. What used to take 3 days and cost $20 now happens in minutes for under $1. For his family, that difference means groceries for the week, school fees on time, and a sense of control they never had before. Then there are the merchants, small businesses in cities and rural towns alike, who've realized they can accept Litecoin without a bank account, without a card machine, and without the risk of chargebacks. In Venezuela, where economic instability has crushed traditional financial systems, Litecoin is used by shopkeepers who would otherwise have no reliable way to get paid. In fact, some cafes, pharmacies, and online sellers now price items directly in Litecoin. It's not a fantasy or a someday possibility. It's already happening. It's not everywhere, but it doesn't have to be. Even in small pockets, it's proof that a decentralized digital currency can meet real-world needs. The T. This pattern extends to freelancers and digital creators. For them, getting paid across borders is notoriously hard. Platforms take huge cuts. Banks delay transactions and currency conversions eat into earnings. But with Litecoin, payment becomes direct and instant. A designer in Kenya creates a logo for a client in Canada. Instead of waiting a week for PayPal to release funds, they receive Litecoin within minutes. It's not just about speed, it's about freedom. No gatekeepers, no middlemen, no limits. For many creators in developing regions, this is the first time they've had full ownership of their income. Even in emergencies, Litecoin has shown its value. During the early days of the war in Ukraine, traditional financial routes became unreliable. NGOs and individuals began accepting cryptocurrency donations, and Litecoin was among them. It enabled immediate aid, direct to the source without relying on slow banking infrastructure. The same was seen during earthquakes, floods, and other disasters. When minutes matter, so does the method of support. And Litecoin, with its accessibility and simplicity, proved it could carry hope when needed most. These are not isolated stories. They're part of a growing pattern, a quiet revolution happening not in Silicon Valley boardrooms or crypto Twitter threads, but in classrooms, kitchen tables, street markets, and digital workspaces around the globe. Litecoin's real-world impact isn't flashy. It's not about billion-dollar NFTs or metaverse land deals. It's about making everyday life just a little bit better, safer, and freer for those who've long been underserved by traditional systems. Quiet adoption, how Litecoin spreads without headlines. Unlike viral tech trends that explode overnight and vanish just as fast, Litecoin's adoption is slow, steady, and almost invisible to the mainstream. It doesn't rely on celebrity endorsements or massive ad campaign. Instead, it spreads through one simple principle. It works. When someone uses Litecoin to get paid faster, to avoid a broken banking system, or to store value during inflation, they don't need a press release to convince others. They just share the experience. It's word of mouth. It's a personal recommendation. It's practical trust, not speculative hype. Take, for example, small tech hubs in parts of Nigeria, Kenya, or Bangladesh, where freelancers, developers, and crypto-savvy youth are teaching their communities how to use Litecoin wallets. These aren't blockchain conferences. They're WhatsApp groups, Telegram chats, and in-person tutorials over tea or street food. No banners, no cameras, just real people showing others how to take control of their money. In these communities, Litecoin isn't an investment. It's a tool to bypass corrupt financial systems, a tool to access the global market, a tool to survive. You'll also find Litecoin quietly working in tourism, especially in countries with volatile currencies. In parts of Latin America and Southeast Asia, savvy tour guides, Airbnb hosts, and restaurant owners are accepting Litecoin directly. When local cash inflates overnight, crypto holds value. These business owners don't care about decentralization theory. They care that Litecoin lets them get paid by travelers, avoid bank fees, and protect their income. And once they start using it, they rarely stop. Even charities have found a surprising ally in Litecoin. Smaller NGOs and grassroots organizations, often underfunded and stretched thin, can now receive donations instantly from anywhere in the world without losing money, to payment processors. When a donor in the US sends Litecoin to a group building clean water wells in Uganda, there's no bank delay or hidden charge. The value arrives intact, and often it arrives faster than an email update. That kind of transparency and efficiency is reshaping how people think about giving and global impact.
थप्पड़ तो मैंने उसको मारा ही है.
All of this paints a powerful picture of how crypto and Litecoin in particular grows in the real world. Is not through billion-dollar partnerships or news cycles. It's through use, quiet use, consistent use, purpose-driven use. Litecoin's adoption doesn't need to go viral because it's going vital. Where it shows up, it solves problems, and where it solves problems, it stays. One coin, one story, how Litecoin changes lives. In a small town just outside Buenos Aires, Argentina, a young graphic designer named Mateo faced a harsh economic reality. Inflation was rising so fast that the money he earned on Monday was worth significantly less by Friday. Bank transfers were slow, unreliable, and often came with hidden fees. His clients were mostly international, but receiving payments in dollars through traditional channels was nearly impossible. One day, a client asked if he accepted crypto. Mateo didn't hesitate. He downloaded a Litecoin wallet, and within minutes, his payment arrived full amount. No middlemen, no delays. That day wasn't just a financial transaction. It was a shift in power. From that point on, Litecoin became his lifeline, a way to escape the trap of inflation, hold value, and work globally with peace of mind. Far away in war-affected Eastern Europe, a mother named Irina had lost access to her bank when the local branch was destroyed. With 2 children and limited supplies, her situation was desperate. A family friend in another country wanted to send her money quickly, but traditional routes were down. They turned to crypto, specifically Litecoin, because of its speed and low fees. Within minutes, Irina received the funds and was able to use a local peer-to-peer exchange to buy groceries and medicine. It wasn't just technology helping her. It was people using technology the right way. And for Irina, Litecoin wasn't a digital asset. It was hope in her hands when everything else was collapsing around her. Meanwhile, in the Philippines, a college student named Angel was paying her way through school by doing online tutoring. She had tried using platforms like Upwork and Fiverr, but the fees were overwhelming. A friend introduced her to Litecoin. Soon, Angel was tutoring students directly over Zoom and accepting payments in LTC. She could convert what she needed into pesos and hold the rest in crypto. Over time, she became so proficient in managing her Litecoin earnings that she taught her classmates how to do the same. What started as a workaround turned into a movement. Her story is not an isolated miracle. It's part of a larger shift. One person at a time, Litecoin is helping people build better, freer lives. Even in the US, where the financial system is advanced but exclusion still exists, Litecoin has quietly carved out a role. A small business owner in Detroit, recovering from pandemic-era losses, began accepting Litecoin to broaden his customer base. A musician in Austin, tired of streaming platforms taking the lion's share of his income, used Litecoin tips to fund his next album. A teacher in Los Angeles used Litecoin to send monthly donations to support children's education in Cambodia. In each of these cases, it wasn't about speculation, it was about empowerment. These aren't stories driven by ideology. They're driven by necessity, by creativity, by resilience, and they all have one thing in common. Litecoin provided an answer when traditional systems fail. Not a perfect answer, not a one-size-fits-all answer, but a usable, dependable, human answer. And that's what real adoption looks like. Not just headlines or market cap rankings, but individual moments where a coin becomes something more. It becomes freedom, culture, identity, and the rise of the Litecoin lifestyle. As Litecoin continues to make its mark in economic systems and personal finance, something subtler, but just as powerful is happening alongside it. It's the formation of a culture, not just a user base or an investor group, but a shared identity. Across continents and time zones, people who've embraced Litecoin are beginning to form communities, expressions, even lifestyles that orbit around the coin. It's not a brand in the traditional sense, and there's no corporate marketing team crafting its voice. Instead, the identity of Litecoin is organic, grassroots, shaped by people who see it not as a product they consume, but as a tool that empowers them. And because it's neutral, decentralized, and non-political, it leaves space for individuals and communities to project their own values onto it. For many, Litecoin represents quiet strength. It's not flashy or viral. It doesn't dominate headlines or trend every week. And that's exactly why its culture is so distinct. In a world obsessed with speed and attention, Litecoin users value reliability, consistency, and integrity. This mindset translates into their creative work, their online discussions, and even their approach to financial independence. Artists create Litecoin-themed digital art not to sell NFTs, but to express their belief in long-term value. Writers and content creators explore Litecoin's role in economic justice or digital sovereignty. In Reddit forums, Telegram groups, and YouTube comment sections, people share not just market analysis, but philosophies about freedom, fairness, and future-proof finance. Over time, these fragments form a mosaic, a shared narrative that Litecoin is more than tech, it's a statement. This narrative becomes even stronger when you zoom in on subcultures emerging around Litecoin. Among privacy advocates, Litecoin is embraced as a realistic compromise, a coin that respects user choice with features like Mimblewimble, but remains accessible and legal enough for mainstream use. Among minimalists and digital nomads, Litecoin fits their lifestyle perfectly. Borderless, light, low-cost, unburdened by bureaucracy. For them, it's not just a tool, it's part of how they navigate life. And among self-taught developers and open-source purists, Litecoin's no drama, no central authority model is a beacon of what blockchain was always meant to be. It's not just another project, it's a flag they fly. Even in fashion, music, and visual design, Litecoin is beginning to appear as a symbol, not in mass-produced merchandise, but in custom prints, low-key tattoos, and coded references in songs or stories. It's the opposite of mass adoption hype. It's cultural infiltration through authenticity. Litecoin is becoming a mark of independent thinking, the signal of opting out, a way to say, I trust the code, not the noise. And that kind of symbolism matters, especially in a digital world saturated with brands trying to buy relevance. Litecoin earns its presence not with money, but with meaning. The culture forming around Litecoin is also inclusive. Unlike some parts of crypto that feel elitist, technical, or tribal, the Litecoin community actively welcomes new voices. You don't need to be a coder to belong. You don't need to own thousands of dollars in tokens to participate. You just need to believe in better money and use it. That simplicity lowers the barrier for global inclusion. The student in Nepal, a retiree in Canada, a shop owner in Ghana, they can all join, contribute, and be heard. Litecoin doesn't care who you are. It just works. And that's a powerful foundation for culture. Because when people feel like they belong to something that respects them, they build around it. They create. They advocate. They stay. In the end, culture is what gives a technology soul. And Litecoin, quietly but clearly, is gaining one. It may never be the loudest voice in the room, but it may be the truest. Its culture is not based on hype or price swings. It's based on values, on what it represents to the people who use it. And as that culture continues to grow, Litecoin's influence will reach far beyond finance. It will live in how people think, create, share, and dream of a freer world. The quiet revolution, what Litecoin reveals about the bigger picture. In the ever-evolving landscape of cryptocurrency, most attention is drawn to disruption. The startups aiming to shatter legacy systems, the volatile price swings that make headline, the founders who promise to redefine the rules of money. There's an almost constant pressure to be revolutionary, to build the next big thing, to out-innovate, outscale, out-hype. Yet within this hyperactive environment, Litecoin has quietly written a different story, a slower, steadier, more deliberate path. And that story, though less sensational, may hold the most important lesson in the entire crypto space. Transformation doesn't always roar. Sometimes it hums. Litecoin doesn't fight for the spotlight, yet it continues to function with precision. It doesn't boast of being the fastest, yet it remains fast enough for global payments. It doesn't promise a future of massive speculation, yet it reliably stores value across borders and generations. This quiet performance challenges the very definition of innovation. In a culture that equates noise with progress, Litecoin proves that silence can be strength and that consistency, not chaos, is what most people truly need from a currency. Its revolution isn't in the headlines, it's in the homes, phones, and lives of ordinary people finding ways to participate in the digital economy on their own terms. In many ways, Litecoin represents the maturing soul of the cryptocurrency movement. It carries the values that started it all: decentralization, user control, censorship resistance, and open access. but it has translated those values into a working, everyday tool, not a theory, not a token of promise, but an actual experience of financial independence.